Hello, my name is Brad, and this is my second video blog of the top 10 famous predictions. So in my first one, I talked about my top 5 from class. In this one, I'll be addressing the top 5 that I found on my own. So to jump right into it, I want to review the logic for choosing these, and I discussed these more in my first video, but I just want to review them again here. So if these predictions had come true, what would the world look like today? So that's my first criteria. So to put another way, what is the impact of disproving these predictions? The second thing is looking at the person or entity making the predictions. So I want to make sure that they're a reputable source and that they're at the top of their field in order for the prediction to have some validity. And the last thing is how many lives have been saved, made better, or made worse by proving these predictions wrong. So looking at how these predictions being proved wrong, how that's influenced the human condition. So here are my top 5. The first one is, this was made by Professor Joseph LeConte, a Berkeley professor, and he said, "Is it not demonstrated that a true flying machine, self-raising, self-sustaining, self-propelling, is physically impossible?" And this was proved to be wrong. In 1903, the Wright brothers made their first propelling flight. In 2006, there were 28 million scheduled flights and over 2 billion passengers. So obviously it's become a massive industry, and it's also become a way for humans to transport and from place to place very, very quickly. So in that sense, it's allowed us to get virtually anywhere on the globe in a matter of hours. The next prediction is, this was made by Sir John Erik Erikson. He said the abdomen, the chest, and the brain will forever be shut from the intrusion of the wise and human surgeon. He was a British doctor, and he was not just any doctor, but appointed surgeon extraordinary to Queen Victoria. So he was a very famous guy and obviously very educated and smart in his field. But this proved out to be wrong. Technological advancements in brain and heart surgery have saved millions of human lives. In 2012 alone, more than 2,300 heart transplants were performed. So because of this prediction being proved wrong, I would argue that the human condition has been bettered in a lot of ways. Prediction number 3, this is made by Simone Newcomb, a member and an officer in the National Academy of Sciences, so another very prominent guy in his field, and he said, "We are probably nearing the limit of all we can know about astronomy." He said this in 1888. Since then, some notable discoveries in astronomy have included finding a building block of life outside of our galaxy. We found the first evidence of H2O and CO2 on planets outside of our solar system, so this has allowed us to explore the possibility of life in those places. We've also found ice on Mars, and but beyond those discoveries, a lot of important inventions come from inventions that start in astronomy. So, for instance, GPS, technology for CAT scans, and MRIs all originate from the astronomy field. So, without a lot of innovation there, we wouldn't have a lot of those inventions which impact many lives. So that's obviously a very important prediction that was proved wrong. The fourth one is, this was made by Simone Cameron, the U.S. Secretary of War under Lincoln. And he said, "I am tired of all this sort of thing called science here. We have spent millions in that sort of thing for the last few years, and it is time it should be stopped." He said this in 1901. So science discovery has been critical to saving lives and bettering the human condition. Some important discoveries since he made this statement in 1901, stem cell research, vaccines, discoveries in science have also led to the technology for the transistor, which is important for the computer and the internet, which touches millions, if not billions, of lives each year. Marking different greenhouse gas levels is also another important discovery. We've been able to sequence the entire genome of a cancer patient, which is a huge discovery in science, and it gives us a better understanding and helps lead to personalized healthcare. We've been able to grow a new organ from a patient's own stem cells, and the splitting of the atom has also been in science, which I talked about earlier. The last prediction is, this was made by Irving Fisher, a very famous economist and arguably one of the greatest to ever come from the U.S. He said stocks have reached what looks like a permanently high plateau, and he said this in 1929, around the stock market crash of 1929. But since then, the stock market has actually expanded a lot. And the stock market has allowed people to expand their wealth, which obviously leads to higher living standards. But interesting fact here, so in 1929, the Dow Jones was at $381.17. So this was around when Fisher made the prediction. And today it's at $18,019.35. So obviously he was wrong. It didn't reach a plateau, but in fact it's grown a lot. And that's allowed people to expand their wealth, which, as I said earlier, can make for better standards of living. So these are my top 5 predictions that I found on my own, and they correlate with the logic that I said earlier. And thank you for listening. Go Bears.